Welcome back to another episode of Those Two Dudes. It's that dude, Josh.
That's that dude, Ruben.
Man, we're back at it. Back on the home front. NFL playoffs, front and center. Got to talk all things playoffs. Good to see it. I know last week was intense. Also, before we get started on the NFL side, shout out, congrats, University of Georgia Bulldogs pulling through, beating Alabama. Huge. I mean, that was just huge all around for the state of Georgia and the university. So
yeah,
that was
monkey off their back. I mean, they've been really good for the last handful of years, and they just needed to take that one last step, and they finally took it. So, yeah, congrats to Georgia.
Yeah, that was good. And then obviously, right, if you're going to take the SEC, you got to be able to take down the Giant. So to be able to do both of that in the championship game was even better. I mean, look, as we expected, right? These were two teams. If you said in the beginning of the season, people would have been like, oh, I really don't care to watch this matchup. It's SEC. I don't care. It was still a good game. I know the ratings were
the first half wasn't great, but
low scoring. But you knew they were going to pick things up, and they did.
And part of that might just be, I mean, look, they play like one game in the month or something like that. Like from the end of the regular season, then the playoffs start. You play that one game, and then you got to wait another week or however long. So yeah, like you don't play much for like a whole month. So. Yeah, some of that could be rust and whatnot. So the second half was great, and again, congrats to Jordan.
Yeah, heck of a game. Shout out. Also, follow us everywhere at Those Two Dudes Podcast, TikTok, Instagram, Those Two Dudes, Spotify, and Facebook. Check us out, guys. Like and subscribe. Thumbs up, notification bell, everything in between. Cool. Now that the only sport that we're all in every day is the NFL playoffs. Let's talk about it. I know the wild card weekend just ended. We're already heading into the divisional round, but the game's just kind of a recap. Starting with the AFC side, right? We saw the Bengals beat the Raiders in a close game. We saw the Bills destroy the Patriots. That game was never close. And then we saw Kansas City essentially do exactly what we thought they would do to the Steelers. Anything stick out to you?
As far as wins and losses, not really. I'm a little surprised by how many blowouts we had in the first round. That's kind of disappointing, but all in all, as far as who won the matchup, not really. Bengals and Raiders, I think people could have said that one could have gone either way.
And it came down to the last play, so
right. They came out on top. So congrats to them. Being the Patriots and Bills, I didn't necessarily think Patriots would get blown out in that one.
That was Bill Belichick's worst loss in the playoffs.
Right. So that's a little shocking. But as far as who won the games, and this goes for AFC, NFC, no real surprises. A little shocked on the NFC side. San Francisco pulled the upset, but not so much. They had a poll question of they gave like 3 or 4 matchups, which teams most likely to get upset, and I picked the Cowboys.
Oh, that was number 1. Yeah, I had that too.
I thought they were a little bit more vulnerable there, so I picked them, and happens to be they lost. But if you would have asked me to bet money on it straight up, I probably would have gone with the Cowboys. So a little shocked, but not completely shocked. So those are just my initial thoughts. Lots of blowouts. That was a little disappointing, but I think we got some nice matchups here in the second round, though. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. So again, right. Recap: Bengals beat Raiders, Bills blew out Patriots, KC blew out Steelers. That's on the AFC side. NFC side, Rams blew out Cardinals, Cowboys and 49ers. Cowboys were the Cowboys, 49ers won, and Buccaneers blew out Philly. Yeah, like you said, a lot of blowouts, but kind of unusual for a wild card weekend, but also at the same time, like you could have guessed that maybe that would have happened, right? Like you could have guessed Kansas City would blow out Pittsburgh. You could have guessed Tampa Bay would blow out Philly. You could I had called. I was skeptical on the Cardinals all season, regardless of the record, and it showed. And obviously, it showed.
I think we both were a little bit just because we haven't seen them here. They're young.
And this is why you're skeptical on somebody that is 8-1 early in the season. But like you said, it's because they've never been here.
Right. But then you kind of seen them show maybe their youth a little bit down the stretch, even in the regular season. I think they lost 3 or 4 or something like that. So yeah, we kind of maybe got a little hint that this was coming in the playoffs. I didn't necessarily think they would get blown out, destroyed like that. They did beat the Rams early on in LA in the regular season. So I don't know if we expected a blowout, but yeah, I mean, I think we both expected the Rams to win that ball game.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I don't know. A ton doesn't stick out to me. I think maybe that Bills Patriots game, just because, the Bills, I think it was something like where they scored a touchdown on their first 7 drives, which is just insane.
Really?
Insane.
I didn't watch that entire game. So
yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
That is insane.
I mean, look, again, Patriots also have a rookie quarterback as well, too. So another young team just getting their toes wet as far as this new era of Patriots football goes. So getting their toes wet, it might be good for him. It's a learning lesson. He knows what playoff football is all about now. Maybe he'll come back more prepared next year in his second season. Yeah,
and on the NFC side, I mean, Tampa Bay basically had a bye against Philly. They were up 31-0 in the fourth quarter. Philly put up some meaningless points to make it look respectable. LA blew out the Cardinals. Kyler Murray looked terrible out there. He didn't look like the MVP candidate that we've seen most of the year.
In fairness, he was getting there was pressure on him like the entire game, wasn't there?
Yeah.
They were harassing that man. So in fairness to him, he's got to get a little bit better protection there too.
Yeah. And then
look, if you Cliff Kingsbury, man, look, have you seen that man's records down the stretch of seasons going back?
I didn't.
Decades? Like, he's had like good starts for multiple years at Texas Tech, and then now at Arizona, and collapsed down the stretch of all like 5 or 6 years or so. Like, it was something ridiculous, like just straight collapse. So and somebody even brought up that question to him, like in the media when they do their little post game press conferences or whatever. I guess it was after the playoff game. They asked him, like, is there anything to this? And he was like, well, I haven't really had time to check that out, but if there is, I mean, we need to look at that and see what we can do differently down the stretch and all that stuff. So
interesting.
He was very professional with his answer. Whoever asked that question was pretty bold, considering they just lost that playoff game. So
I was looking at my notes that I had going into the season. That we did an episode I did an episode with the 2 girls from Touchdowns and Tight Ends. And we did a whole NFL preview of this upcoming season. And the notes that I had in the Cardinals going into this season was that Kyler needs to take the next step. And if they don't make the playoffs, Cliff Kingsbury may be on the hot seat. I think Kyler has taken the next step. Yeah. I almost feel like Cliff Kingsbury may still be on the hot seat.
Yeah, kind of. I guess because of the way they finished down the stretch, it does kind of feel like that a little bit, but gosh, that would just be wrong. Like,
no, and he's absolutely going to come back next year. He'll be back next year, but that's not to say he won't be on the hot seat next season.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think he'll come back, and I think he will definitely be on the hot seat.
Yeah.
They will win, and they got to probably win at least one playoff game next year, right? I would think. Like,
dude, that's a tough division, man. That's a tough division.
It's a tough division, but look.
I mean, yes. You have to win a playoff game. It doesn't matter what division you're in.
Is a team that's ready to win. You got to take those steps, and the next step is to win a playoff game. So I think that's something he's got to do next year.
Yeah. Look, Kyler Murray held his end of the bargain. He did take that next step. Cliff Kingsbury, where you at, man? Come on, let's go. And also, and I feel like if you're in his shoes, it's not the worst thing, because if he gets fired, he would be a hot commodity in college.
Yeah. He's kind of built back his reputation was kind of down after Texas Tech, right? His
reputation was the lowest, and that's when the Cardinals hired him.
Cardinals just grabbed him, so he got a huge favor, and he's at least he's done well enough with this job at Arizona that even if he lost it, he'd probably get picked up right away from a college or maybe an OC in the NFL or something like that. So yeah, I think
he'll be all right. Yeah, maybe, and if all else fails, maybe he'll go back to his true alma mater and be the head coach at New Braunfels High School and be a unicorn.
That would be him definitely failing, but I don't foresee that happening.
Shout out New Braunfels Unicorns. Yeah, no real big surprises. Rams look good. Bucks look great. 49ers look phenomenal. Cowboys, I'll get to them in a little bit. I hate what I saw. Bengals look good. Bengals, that was an exciting game. That was a fun game. Bills look great. KC looks great. So now we're in the divisional round, man. Now this is where it happens. So let's just get into some of the matches. We'll start it in the AFC in the top two. We got the KC, the Chiefs versus the Bills, Bengals versus the Titans. Tell me your thoughts on these games. Tell me what you're predicting. Tell me where your head's at with these two matches, which in all honesty, man, I could see any scenario with any of these teams winning.
Oh man, yeah, this is a tough round. I'm leaning Bills in that Chiefs game. They're red hot. They finished the season red hot. We thought they might be that team to take that next step this year at the beginning of the year.
It took them some time, but they finally got there.
I think they might be a little bit better up front, a little bit more of a physical team. And I think they're going to take that step. I have a feeling. I know the Chiefs have better athletes on the perimeters. They got Mahomes and all that, but I think this might be the Bills' year to take that next step and beat the Chiefs. So we have to see. In the other game, the Titans and Bengals. Look, Bengals just won their first playoff game in 31 years. Congrats to them. They have a young superstar quarterback and receiver, a nice tandem that played together in college. They have that built-in connection already.
Mm-hmm.
But look, the Titans have been here. They won their division for the last, I think, 3 years now straight. They're getting healthy at the right time. Derrick Henry's supposed to play. I think the Titans are going to be able to take care of the Bengals. I think we're probably also, again, the better team up front on the lines.
Well, you guys are the better team because they're the one seed
in the playoffs. Being the more physical team in the playoffs is important, and I think that plus the experience and plus being at home, it will be enough to get Tennessee past the Bengals.
So quick question on the Titans. Does it matter or make a difference if Derrick Henry plays or doesn't play?
It does make a difference, but probably not a big difference as people might think it makes.
Okay.
He's the best running back in the league, but running back is the one position where you can afford to lose a player and still be okay. We got a nice backup for Foreman. So it does matter, but it might not matter as much as people think. But I think he will play.
Okay. AFC side, dude, coin flip, man. I'll tell you who I am rooting for. I'm rooting for the Bills versus the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. Who I think is going to win? I think Kansas City will win it because they're at home. And they just need another trip back to the Super Bowl, man. They finally got that defense figured out late in the season. And they got embarrassed by Buffalo earlier this year in Kansas City. So I think Kansas City will win that game. And then on the AFC and the Bengals Titans game, dude, flip a coin. My guess is the Titans, just because they don't want to be one and done as a one seed here. And, they were one and done last year, having a home playoff game and lost to the Ravens. So I think they'll figure it out enough to get to the AFC Championship game. So I would say I think the 1 and 2 Chiefs and Titans go in the conference championship game.
Yeah, Bills got whooped by the Chiefs, but that was early in the season when the Bills were kind of up and down.
No, the Bills whooped the Chiefs earlier in the season.
Bills whooped the Chiefs. Okay, yes. Well, there's that. And look, I think the Bills. Another thing is, I know Chiefs are at home, and Arrowhead's one of the most difficult places to play on the road. But the Bills play in this kind of weather. I expect cold.
Yeah, weather won't be a factor to either team.
So I think, and also the Bills, their style, the way they play the game, I think it could kind of. I think they'll be okay there. A lot of play action type plays. Not too much. I don't see a lot of audibles coming from them or whatnot. So I think they'll be all right. And like you said, they beat them earlier in the year. And my main thing is I think they're better up front. So, and I think that's important for the playoffs.
Moving on to the AFC and the NFC side, we got the Buccaneers versus the Rams, and then we got San Francisco versus Green Bay.
Man.
Tell me your thoughts, man.
I'm going to start with San Francisco and Green Bay because I'm torn on the other game.
Really? You are? I'm not.
I'm torn on that game. And
I'm torn on San Francisco and Green Bay.
I like the San Francisco-Green Bay matchup just because it's an old-school 90s rivalry. And anytime I get to see those classic matchups, I get excited. We got one in San Francisco and Dallas last week, and now there's another one with San Francisco and Green Bay. So I like that. Green Bay's at home. Green Bay's got the better quarterback. I think Green Bay wins, but I think it's going to be close. Because man. Yeah, I think it'll be close. I think San Francisco matches up really well up front. But I'm going with Aaron Rodgers. He's the better quarterback, and they're at home. They've been the better team all year, more consistent team. So I'm gonna lean with them. But I think it's gonna be close.
Green Bay is a 5.5 point favorite.
5.5 point favorite. Okay.
I would take San Francisco.
Yeah, I'd probably you gave me that, I'd probably buy at least a half a point
to go to 6. Yeah. I'd take 6.
The other matchup, it's in Tampa Bay. You got the GOAT against the quarterback that doesn't have much playoff experience.
He only has one playoff win. And also keep in mind the Rams
best team, top to bottom in the whole NFL. Like this is a heavyweight matchup right here.
This is a heavyweight matchup, and the Rams. If you remember, like in week 3, I think they blew out the Buccaneers, but the game was in LA.
Yeah, a little bit different this time. The Rams got to travel across the United States to play in Tampa Bay, so it's a lot of that's a
tall task.
And you got to go against the GOAT in the playoffs. So I took Rams to go to the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. I'm leaning the other way now.
It's okay. I was gonna say it's okay to change it.
Yeah, I'm leaning the other way, but yeah, because you don't go against Tom Brady at home in the NFL playoffs. You just don't. You don't do it. So I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay, even though I think the Rams are very good and they were my Super Bowl pick. I'm gonna make a little switcheroo there.
Okay. Rams and Bucks. I got Bucks. I mean, the line is 3. I would take Bucks -3.
Yeah, probably so.
I personally, I don't think I think maybe Bucks win by 10. It could be close, but not that close. I mean, the thing about the Rams, which looking back on it makes what the Buccaneers did last year so remarkable, even more remarkable, is that you can't just put players together mid-season in the first year and expect it all to work out. It takes time. Again, right? Buccaneers are the exception, or Tom Brady is the exception. You just don't. And I know they went all in on this year, and it doesn't look. I don't think it'll pan out. I got the Bucks, San Francisco and Green Bay. I do know I got San Francisco plus 5.5. I don't know who wins this game. I gotta think Green Bay wins this game because Aaron Rodgers, with all that drama he's got going on with this pending offseason and him being a expected free agent, dude, there's no way he loses in the divisional round at Green Bay.
Of all the games this weekend, other than my Titans, that's the one game I really want to watch. One, that nostalgic factor of it being the Packers against the 49ers, but also I'm interested to see if the 49ers can pull off their second upset in a row and go to the NFC Championship. That would be pretty exciting. If that happens, whether Garoppolo's there next year or not, I think he's got a nice job lined up for him elsewhere.
Regardless, even if they lose, he's built his case.
He's built his case. As long as he doesn't, I mean, either way, I think, but hopefully he doesn't just have a horrible game this week. But yeah, if they were to win, he'd really cement that, I think. So yeah, that's the second game I'm most excited about this week.
Cool, man. Cool. Okay. So real quick, just talking about spreads. We're always talking money. We're always talking about go out there, play some bets, go make some money. Looking at the lines real quick. Let's talk about it. Saturday, you got 2 games. You got Titans, Bengals, Titans -3.5. Who are you taking?
I'm taking Titans, but again, I always buy a half point when it's like 3.5. You want to get to 3 just in case it's the last second field goal, it's a tie game or something.
So it can be pushed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 3.5. And supposedly you're giving like 3 points if you're at home. So really Vegas thinks Titans are like a half point better or something like that. So that's a little but yeah, I think Titans pull it out, and I'm probably leaning with the Titans with the points as well.
Okay. So Titans -3 because you're buying half a point. Let's see here. Other Saturday game we just talked about, Niners versus Packers. Packers are -5.5. You said you got 49ers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a close one.
So first game Sunday, Rams at Bucks. Tampa Bay's -3.
I'm good. Look, 3's not a lot. And if you're taking Tampa Bay to win, you might as well take Tampa Bay in the points. So yeah, I'm going with Tampa Bay.
Same. And then Bills at Chiefs. Dude, Chiefs -1.5. So it's basically a pick 'em.
I'm taking Bills to win the game.
So yeah.
Yeah, at 1.5. I mean, dang.
Basically a pick 'em.
Like Vegas. That's kind of like Vegas is telling us something. It seems like right there. So yeah, I'm taking Buffalo.
It's like this is either going to be a 1 or a 2 point game. That's what this is telling me.
Go with Buffalo.
Yeah. Okay. I'll probably take Titans -3.5. Honestly, I would take Titans -3.5. I don't know that Bengals have the best run defense. I could see Titans getting a quick 14-0 lead and then just running the ball the rest of the game.
I'll give you another fun fact as far as matchups go in that game here in a bit, but when we get to our next segment. But
okay,
yeah.
So we got our conference championship matches set up. Josh, I still don't know who your favorite football team is yet, based on everything that you're wearing right now. So that leads us to this next segment. We got something brand new for you guys. It's, what's bugging us. We want to know what's bugging us. We got a lot of things that we want to get off our chest. What's been bothering us? Josh, what's been bugging you, man?
Man, you know what's bothering me? The Titans hate. We're the number 1 seed in the AFC in the playoffs, and everybody acts like we're just dog crap. Like, we're going to lose this week. Like, look. You know what it was? It's 2 things. It's 2 things. One, we're not sexy. We're not a sexy team. We're an old school, grinded out, pound the ball type football team. But look, this is football. This is how you're supposed to play. It's supposed to be tough, aggressive. So what if we're not sexy? 2, there's this stat. There's this new statistic out there. It's called DVOR. And this is what it is. I looked it up. I didn't hear of it. I was trying to figure out why all this Titans hate's going on. And I Googled it. And this is what pops up. We are apparently the worst team, either the worst team ever to be a number 1 seed per DVOR, or the worst team since 1983. I didn't get a sure answer on that one. But DVOR, this is what it is. It's a method of evaluating teams, units, or players. It takes every single play during the NFL season and compares each one of those plays to the league average baseline based on situation. And per that, we're the worst number 1 seed ever. But DVR, as they mentioned, it doesn't take into account injuries. Derrick Henry's been out since week 8. We had Julio Jones miss multiple games. We had A.J. Brown miss multiple games. We had Taylor Lewan, our best offensive lineman, miss multiple games. And we had defensive players miss games as well due to either COVID or injuries. So I think we played 91 players. We had 91 players suit up this year or something crazy. I think that was tops in the NFL.
That's a lot.
And we still got the number 1 seed. So y'all can go ahead and stop hating on the Titans. And then look, this is another thing. Our defense, I seen this stat on Twitter today. The defense only blitzed 18% of the time this year. That was second lowest in the league. We blitzed second least amount of plays in the league, percentage-wise. Yet, we had 35 sacks, which is second most in the league. So
that's a great deal. That's a great upfront.
Yes, that means we're getting to the quarterback with our front four. We're able to drop 7. And for your Bengals there, Joe Burrow's like percentage when players don't blitz, when teams don't blitz him, his percentage rating or his QBR, something, one of the two drops significantly when teams ain't blitzing him. So Titans are a team that doesn't have to blitz. That could also give Joe Burrow a little bit of problems here as a rookie. So there's another little fun fact for you.
I would also
stop hating on my Titans.
I would also help your argument that the Bengals have one of the worst O-lines in the NFL. It might be rough sledding for the Bengals. Even more reason to take Tennessee minus 3.5.
Yep, I'm liking that more and more the more we're talking about this.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's bothering you?
Well, I think it's I have the opposite issue as my team is no longer in the playoffs.
One more thing. Your team was the number 1 team in DVOR this season coming into the playoffs. The Cowboys were number 1. So there's the DVOR for you.
What does it stand for, DVOR?
I'm not sure what the initials stand for.
That's great. We're just saying letters now.
No, but it has a meaning. I gave you what it actually means.
Okay.
What it is.
Okay.
So that's what it is.
The Cowboys are going to be stuck in this vicious circle that I've said that we're not going to win another Super Bowl until Jerry Jones passes away. Well, we're not going to advance past the wild card round unless we fire Mike McCarthy. He's our issue. The whole sliding fiasco and the referees not getting down on time and, whatever it was to stop the clock. That's a moot point. That's a moot point because that was not the reason. That wasn't the reason we lost.
I'm glad you say that. You see all these little casual Cowboy fans just cry. It is mind-boggling how many people were crying about the refs on Twitter. So I had to ask the same thing to TJ, my roommate. He's also a Cowboys fan. You and him are on the same page. 2 people that actually have a little bit of sports knowledge both agree that it's not on the refs. And the play calling maybe questionable down the stretch, running that play. I don't know. Also, the amount of penalties the Cowboys have throughout the year, and then especially it stuck out in the playoff game. So,
yes, I mean, look, if you look at social media, it is all these people that just have the alerts on their phone of what the Cowboys score is that don't actually watch the Cowboys game until it's playoff time. So they don't know how NFL works and what the games are like. No, it was not the referee's fault that the Cowboys lost. It was the Cowboys' fault that the Cowboys lost. They had 14 penalties. That was a Cowboys postseason record that they tied. 14 penalties. You're not going to win any game, whether it's regular season or postseason, with 14 penalties. Like that's unacceptable. That falls on Mike McCarthy. Kellen Moore, Dan Quinn they've been interviewed for every opening job possible in the NFL. What we need to do is we need to fire Mike McCarthy and we need to promote Dan Quinn to head coach. I'm sure Kellen Moore would stay for that, and then we get somebody else to fill in DC. But
what about bringing in Kellen Moore at head coach?
I like more what Dan Quinn did. Because Dan Quinn, number one, he has the coaching experience. He's led a team to the Super Bowl. Maybe one would argue that they probably should have won that Super Bowl and not blow a 28-3 lead, but whatever. He has the experience. He did a lot in Atlanta. He was there for a long time. I like Kellen. He's been a little up and down this season. I think Dak has kind of regressed a little bit this season. I think that's been a little bit part of it. And look, I mean, a lot was being called this postseason play calling. CeeDee Lamb, I think he had 2 catches, 1 catch, something small like that. Tony Pollard, thunder and lightning background. The running backs, he only had 6 carries. Like, dude, you got to do better than that. You have to do better than that. So I said this before, Mike McCarthy was going to be the reason why we didn't make it to the Super Bowl. I said that earlier in the year. I stand by that, obviously. And I think he needs to be gone.
Or do you think he comes back next year?
No, I think he comes back because Jerry Jones loves him. Jerry Jones loves him. So Mike McCarthy is probably going to get 6 more seasons. And, it's going to be average. We're going to go.
Jerry Jones operates is kind of head scratching sometimes.
I will say he's been leaning more and more on Stephen Jones because he did give up the GM role to Stephen Jones. Right. So he has been kind of deferring to him.
Sticking with people longer now. I mean, that ain't necessarily a bad thing. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if Mike McCarthy, I don't know if he's got it anymore. I don't know.
But if there was any chance in the world that
they were one of the worst penalized teams in the league this year, I believe.
I would tell you if there was any chance in the world that we could pull a trade for Dak Prescott for Russell Wilson, I would take that in a heartbeat.
Right now?
So think about it. Think about it, Seattle. Think about it, Pete Carroll. Come on.
Isn't Dak significantly younger than Wilson?
Probably about 5 years.
5 years. Yeah.
But Russell Wilson, he looks like somebody that takes care of his body and could have a longer than normal.
He's also been getting beat up the last few years.
I know. We can take care of you in Dallas. Make it happen, Russell. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't foresee that happening. I think they're all in on Dak right now.
They just gave him a $5 billion contract. So yeah, they're all in on Dak. He ain't going nowhere. They do need to reevaluate Zeke's contract, Zeke Elliott. That's for sure. And
they gave him a fat contract recently too, right?
And my worry is that Amari Cooper, I know he hasn't been happy because he hasn't been getting a lot of targets. And my worry is that he's going to be asking for a trade. So, I mean, dude, we need to do something. We cannot keep this same coaching staff and the same everything going into next year. That's a fact. We cannot do that. Something needs to change. I don't know.
The one big move y'all make is y'all lose Amari Cooper in the offseason. That wouldn't help at all.
No. And then also because Michael Gallup was injured all season. He's supposedly our number 3 receiver. Cedric Wilson was all right. He filled in okay. But, man, you just got to get the ball to your playmakers more.
Despite all this, the Cowboys, like I said, they were the number 1 supposed DVOR team in the league this year. They're a really good football team. Cowboys seem to make, whether it was under Romo or now, they just make bonehead mistakes for some reason.
The one constant in all these bonehead mistakes is the owner was Jerry Jones. So you got to find the common denominator in all this. And the only common denominator is Jerry Jones.
They've had talent like through both these eras here. But they can't get it done in the playoffs. I'm not even talking about winning the Super Bowl. I'm just talking about winning some playoff games on a consistent basis. Half the wild card round.
On that same note, look, in the last 25 years, I hate saying this. In the last 25 years, the Cowboys have 4 playoff wins. Some teams that have more playoff wins than the Cowboys in those 25 years. You got, I think honestly, I think it's 26 different NFL franchises have more playoff wins. The Jacksonville Jaguars have more playoff wins than the Dallas Cowboys in the last 25 years.
26 teams out of the 32 in the league. Yeah, that's pretty bad, especially considering the talent they have. I know in the post Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith era, they lacked some talent there for a while. But when you get into the Tony Romo era, they've had over the last 13 or so years, they've had some quality talent.
If my memory serves me right, I want to say there was at least 2 years where we had the 1 seed and we lost the first game in the divisional playoffs.
Both
times. So we would get the bye, we would get the wild card bye, but then we would lose in the divisional playoffs both times.
That's bad.
I remember one of them being to the Giants, who the Giants then went to the Super Bowl and beat the Patriots that year. And then another year we lost to the Packers.
Yeah, it's rough being a Cowboys fan. That's for sure.
So if you want to help me out from all this bugging that's got going on, man, Cowboys, let's get rid of Mike McCarthy. And also he doesn't double he keeps doubling down on every decision that he makes. He doesn't say, oh, well, in hindsight, this wasn't the best decision because in hindsight, it's not the best decision. He doubles down. He's like, well, that's like it. I liked it.
I do like that a coach is he has conviction in his decisions, but there's got to be points where you're just like, hey, I made a darn mistake, man. I made a mistake and I'm going to get it correct.
Yeah.
Like, you're not always going to be right. Goodness gracious. Yeah, I like conviction, but look, come on, it's got to go both ways a little bit.
It's frustrating, man. It's frustrating.
Hey. No, never mind. Go ahead.
I'm just saying it's frustrating being a Cowboys fan, but I'm hiding my emotions, sweeping them under the rug for the next 3 weeks that I have football, because then after that we won't have football again until in like early August. So
yeah, I mean preseason, yeah.
Yeah. So
but other than that, no football for a while. But yes, I'm gonna keep I'll probably be wearing this every episode we do until the Titans are out of the playoffs. So let's hope they keep winning. If not, I might be ordering something else from Amazon, some more Titan merch here. Especially if we win the AFC Championship, I got to get ready for a Super Bowl, because it's been a while since we've been there. But first things first, we got to beat them little kitty cats from Cincinnati.
Those little kitty cats.
Yeah, those little young kittens.
Man, you are just giving them bulletin board material right now in Cincinnati.
They're young. What can you say? I mean, look, they won their first. They should be thrilled with winning their first playoff game since 1991. When I heard that, I was shocked, because they had them years with Palmer and
they won the division all those years. They won a few division titles, and they always lost in the divisional round.
Wild card. I think they lost like one divisional round, but I think they lost like a lot of wild cards.
A lot of wild cards.
And there were a lot of years where they underachieved more than I thought. I went back and looked at their history. They had a lot of like 8-8 type, 9-7 type years. Like I just remember them being more explosive than that. I don't know if their defense wasn't getting it done. I don't know. And they had the same coach for the longest time.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation. Marvin Lewis was there for what, 16 years?
A long time. With decent success, but usually with a coach that has the amount of success he had with that talent they had,
he would have been fired year 4.
Yeah, he didn't do terrible. He wasn't a terrible coach. He had some success, but they didn't win a playoff game, and they did have some talent. So I don't know.
Yeah, man, I don't know either, man. I don't know. Man, that's the NFL. I'm looking forward to it. We got some great games this weekend. We'll be all over that. Obviously, we'll talk about that.
First game, 3:30. That's the Titans and Bengals Saturday.
That's the first game.
First game.
Yeah, first game. That shows you how they prioritize the 1 seed in the AFC.
Does show that they're sleeping on my Titans. Everybody's sleeping on my Titans. The NFL don't care about them. Fans don't like them because they're not throwing the ball 85 times a game. They just don't like them, but that's all right. They could not like us all the way to the Super Bowl over there. So,
all right. Well, we'll see how that goes. Josh, there's still other sports going on, man. I know we're running low on football stuff other than this playoffs. I went to the Spurs game the other day. It was nice. You know what, man? It was nice because we blew out the Thunder. Problem was, looking around the stands, you would have thought it was our second preseason game against a college team.
That was actually going to be my follow-up question. What was the atmosphere? Because I myself used to go to Spurs games when we had Duncan, Parker. I used to go to games, a few games a year.
We used to go.
Yeah, we used to go to some. I used to go with my brother. And now I ain't been in years. I haven't been in years. I don't care to go because we're not good at all. If we were just decent, I could try to get myself to the game. But I can't. I'm not spending $100.
So here's the thing. It's a double-edged sword because look, tickets right now they're pretty inexpensive for lower level seats. They really are.
I bet
And I'll be honest with you, I got some really nice lower level seats for my dad and I. Spent about $50 for both of for 2 tickets
combined.
Now, the flip side of that is we're not good. So, tickets are easy to get, but you're going to see a bad team play.
Yeah.
So,
I can't do it. Like, I could watch games on TV. I could watch good teams and still tune in if I want to catch a little bit of the Spurs play on TV. I don't need to spend hard-earned money for a poor product. Just put something reasonable. Look, talking about what's bothering me. This right now that I'm thinking about is bothering me. Why do it seems like we're just sitting on our thumbs. We have no sense of direction. Like, we're like the same level type team for the last 3 years. Like, we're not bad enough to get a good pick in the darn draft, and we're not good enough to even be halfway relevant. It just makes me want to pull my hair out.
It's tough, man, because it seems like people in the front office are just like this. They're just like,
that's what it definitely
they're
feels
just there.
like.
And then one guy speaks up and be like, hey, we should trade this guy. And like, yeah, all right. Like, there's no rhyme or reason behind anything.
It's like some guy. Didn't we just trade Forbes?
We traded Forbes. Now, to be fair, the Spurs they were heavy at guards. So a guard needed to go
for the last 5-7 years now.
Yes, but that's also another player, right? They should have never signed him. Like, they should have never
signed him. It all started when we signed Pau Gasol to a ridiculous deal. Then we signed some other guard. We had like too many small guards. Like, you can't switch on defense with them. They can't guard anybody really because they're too small. And we have multiple of them. We had Patty Mills, Forbes. I think we had somebody else too. But yeah, we just couldn't do that.
We got Patty Mills, Forbes, Derek White. That was another one.
White, yeah, he's all right at defense, but he's undersized. He's
undersized. We got Devin Vessel. He's okay. He put up some good points last night. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's tough. DeJounte Murray. I mean, that's our dude.
And then we trade. And then after all the early signings that were bad, including Pau Gasol, then you're forced to trade Kawhi, and you trade him for a player that's going to keep us in the cycle that we're currently in. Like, if they would have never got him.
You talking about DeMar?
DeMar. Yeah, we might have been bad enough there early on to where we actually would get a good pick.
Like, I would argue that we should have traded Kawhi because number one, he was never playing and he was not going to play. I would argue that we should have kept Danny Green and not included him in the trade.
Yeah, probably because he could switch defensively and stuff like that. Whereas we don't have a lot of players that can do that. But that's the main thing is we've been the front office has been making poor decisions for like what seems to be, I think it's probably going on about 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Like and we're in this cycle. And it doesn't. what are we doing to get out of it? I don't feel like we're doing much to get out of it because none of the players we have right now are going to be superstars. You got
to think that this is at this point. You got to think that this is a Pop problem, right?
A Pop problem? I don't know. Whoever's running the show problem. I don't know if Pop's the one pulling the trigger. Then yeah, but I don't know if it's solely him or if it's the GM or who I'm not sure who it is exactly. Maybe it's a combination of Pop in the front office as well. But yeah, something's got to obviously change. Like, this is not the answer. And it just feels like we don't, until we show that we care, maybe we do. I'm sure they care. They want to win, right?
Yeah.
But until they actually show it, until I see something that's showing that, I'm not going to go pay for the game. I'm not going to pay. Like, if you told me you want to go to a Spurs game and you had an extra ticket, sure, I'll probably go. But I'm not going out there. Look, if I seen some $50 tickets in the lower level, maybe I go. But I'm not going to spend.
Well, actually, it was $25 because. There you go. Yeah.
I'm not going to spend like $100 plus to go to no Spurs game. when we're not even showing that we're interested in being good. So
at this point, tickets that go that much is because they want to see the team that's coming into town.
yeah,
It's
I
not to
know.
see the Spurs.
Because there was, I think it was Phoenix. That's my second team right now. So it might have been them. I was looking at on the Game Time app. Game Time app usually has last second good deals. And yeah, I seen the tickets were higher for that game, but for other games, obviously you went to see the Thunder and you got.
So that's a good point. You said that. I was back and forth between Game Time app, StubHub, and then also Vivid.
Mhm.
And the seats that I ended up getting were all on the same app. And I priced them out all three on the same app, and they were cheaper and they were all different prices, which is mind blowing.
Right. Yeah, that's mind blowing, right?
Vivid came out cheaper for those specific.
But you got to remember, different sites have different like little tax.
Of course, yeah.
Service charges differently as well. So, but yeah, they are different prices. I actually, when I got my tickets to the Titans game, I also looked at different sites. And it was actually cheapest, I believe, on Ticketmaster.
Ticketmaster. Wow, that never happens.
Yeah, and I guess it's because they are the NFL. I guess they're like the NFL ticket site. Like that's where or at least they're the Houston Texans source for getting tickets. So I don't know if that has something to do with it or not. But yeah, I found reasonable tickets on there compared to other places.
Well, all this mess that we're talking about the Spurs. They're as of today, obviously this is going to change. They're a game and a half back of the 10 seed, which is what you need for that little playoff.
Oh my gosh. I don't care. Bro, if you have to squeak in as a 10th seed, you're fighting for you're not even in the 10th. There's another thing. I hate that they expanded the NBA playoffs.
I like that. That's fun.
16 is already pushed. So what if it's fun? Like, it's got.
What do you mean? You want to expand college football to 12?
Basketball has already turned into too much of a show. I want quality basketball. I want the sport of basketball to be basketball still. I don't want this to be a big show only. And yes, it's got to be entertainment. It's got to, because that's how you get the casual fans in. I get that. But there's got to be a certain respect the game. Like, bro, there's only 30 NBA teams, I believe. If we're talking about 10 teams, that's 2/3 of the league that are making the playoffs. Like, bro, that's stupid.
Yeah.
The NFL, I don't mind. Like, there's some people that hate. That's another thing I forgot to bring up when we were talking about the NFL playoffs. There's some people that are thinking the 7th team is watering down the playoffs, and that's kind of the reason we got so many blowouts.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily mind the 7 teams because, look, there's 32 NFL teams, 7 in each conference. That's 14. That's still that's below 50% still. So I'm okay. I'm okay with there being 7 in the NFL. I don't necessarily like how the brackets are compared to when there were 6, when you had the 2 byes. You had the 4 teams playing in the first round on each side.
Yeah.
To go play those 2 byes. I kind of like that setup better, but I don't mind 14 teams in the NFL. But when you're talking about 10 teams in each conference in the NBA with 30 teams, like, no, that is beyond ridiculous.
So the reason why I think it's okay is because it's still like that 9 and 10 matchup. It's one and done. It's not a whole ass series. It's just one and done. So like if the 9 seed like whoever loses that game is gone.
Yeah, but look at it this way. Like what if the 9 seed is like 41 and 41 and the 10 seed is like 32 and 50 or some bull.
Then win the damn game if it's one.
One and done. I mean, look, that's how you see upsets.
But you get home court advantage.
Upset. I'd be okay with one and dones if we had it like and I don't know if I want one and dones, but like a best of 3 series.
Yeah, we talked about best of 5 in the first round. We talked about that.
But when we're talking about one and done with the 9 and 10, I don't need to see that, man. I don't need to see any of those teams touch the playoff. Like, put the 7 and 8 seed in there. There's half the time the 8 seed in the East already has a losing record. Usually like 40 and 42 or something like that. Why do we need 2 more teams? And when we get down to the 10 seed in the East, it might be like 33 and 49 or some bull crap. They have no business even talking about playoffs.
Well, let me see here. The way I'm looking at it right now, actually, Western Conference is worse than the Eastern Conference. But
top to bottom,
No, just on the lower half. Yeah, the 10 seed is Portland right now. They're 18-26.
Bro, that is atrocious. What?
Because the 10 seed, in the East, the 10 seed in the East is Toronto, and they're 21 and they're 21. They have a 500 record.
10 seed in the East?
Yeah.
That's okay, but that's going to change. I am sure.
Oh, that'll change for sure.
It's not going to stay 500, but if they were consistently 10 teams around 500, okay, but there's not, especially in the East. And as you just mentioned, the 10th seed in the West is 18-26 right now. Those teams have no business. Come on, man. 66% of your league should not be making the playoffs. 66%. That's what is the playoffs at that point?
I mean, you might as well start.
Screw the regular season. Let's just have a 30-team NBA playoff.
So they did talk about doing the mid-season tournament.
Oh my gosh.
Which I don't see what the point of doing that is.
That's another thing, or reason I don't watch the NBA as much anymore. It's too much of a show. Like from the actual game we get on the court, it's not like the basketball is played in any other league. The dimensions of the court are not the same as any other league. To just how they promote stuff, it's too much of a show. Yeah, I like the NBA, but it's a little overwhelming. The NFL's they're like right at the right level. The NFL, like it's real football, but they're also you still see a showy aspect of it as composed to other levels in football. Yeah, but it's not overwhelming. That's why I like the NFL. The NBA right now is a little overwhelming for me, and it doesn't help that my team's terrible too. So that's also, to be fair, a huge aspect of it. I mean,
100%. Look, the NFL, there's so much parity in the NFL. It's an any given Sunday league. I mean, look at the Jets. 2 of their wins this year came against the number one, the Titans, and they also beat the Bengals. So, I mean, playoffs two teams that are in the playoffs now. And then the Bills, one of their losses came against the Jaguars, right? You know, we can poke fun at these teams, but the reality is that the league is a lot closer as a whole.
Top to bottom than the NBA is. Oh, for sure. Oh my God. It's not even.
But then you got teams like the Giants who, you know, they look like they were ready for Cancun by week 15, you know, the way they played and doing a quarterback sneak on 2nd and 9 and then 3rd and 9, back-to-back quarterback sneaks. Absolutely embarrassing. But hey, man, I don't know. We'll see. A ton of basketball to be played. Obviously, once we get through football, that's going to be our main priorities, basketball. Then we'll even sneak in some baseball, and then you and I will probably have a home run derby or something. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Also, keep a lookout. We actually just, me and a special guest just recorded something special for you comic book lovers out there, everybody in the Marvel universe. So keep a lookout for that. That was a lot of fun, but yeah, keep a lookout for that. Keep following us on everywhere at Those Two Dudes Podcast on Instagram.
Hold on. Before we get there, that episode that you shot about the comic book.
Yeah.
If I watch that episode, am I going to be able to? Am I going to be intrigued to pick up a comic? As a guy that's never picked up a comic book, would I be intrigued to pick up a comic book?
So no, you won't. But it wasn't about comic book. We were talking about the Marvel movies, which is two different things.
Movies. Okay. Yes. Will I be intrigued to watch a Marvel movie? I actually watched the Spider-Man because it had such a great rating.
Oh.
From what I saw, it was decent. To be honest, I didn't get to catch the whole thing because I was dead freaking tired that night. So the main reason I went is so my girlfriend could see it because she's big into those kind of movies as well. She enjoyed it. That's the main thing. From what I seen, it was good. The rating was great. But I didn't make it all the way through because I was dead tired.
Well, we'll edit this part out because that's embarrassing that you just said that. But I mean, it was a phenomenal movie. So what we did, with Marvel, and I kind of just giving you a backstory. Basically, what we recorded was just a recap of everything that's up to this point. So with Marvel, there's 20, I'd say about maybe 26 movies, right? 26 movies. And then you now have Disney Plus TV shows. All these movies and TV shows are part of one timeline. And it's broken down by phase. You have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and then right now they're on phase 4. So we broke it down. We did an episode where we did phase 1 and 2, and then we did an episode where we did phase 3, and then we did another episode where we shot phase 4. So it's basically just keeping you up to speed of everything that's happened to this point.
So if I ain't caught up in Marvel movies, this will get me caught up.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So all you got to do is go to Spotify, look at those two dudes, listen to these episodes, and you'll be caught up, guys. You ain't got to watch hours and hours and hours of movies.
Your girlfriend wants you to know about Marvel movies and watch Marvel movies with her. Watch this episode so you could, have a conversation. It's a good idea.
Also, if your boyfriend is big in Marvel, because I know there's a lot of girls that listen to this podcast. So if your boyfriend is big on Marvel movies, go listen to these episodes. You're gonna love them.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, but again, go follow us, guys, at Those Two Dudes Podcast, Instagram, TikTok, Those Two Dudes, Spotify, Facebook. Keep a lookout for this episode. Keep a lookout for that fun episode we did. And just drop a comment. Let us know your thoughts. Who's winning the Super Bowl? Who's getting upset this week? What's your favorite Marvel movie? Throw that in there. Let us know. Like and subscribe. Thumbs up. Notification bell. All that fun business. But push those buttons, guys, and we'll see y'all next week.